Hi friends, this is Wendy with Love and Stampin'. I am so excited you're here today. We are going to make a fun card, another one using the Greatest Journey. Now this is another swap card that I needed to make, and so I thought why not just film it so you guys could see what I came up with. So we're starting out with a piece of basic white thick cardstock cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm just going to score this at 5 1/2 to make a top folding A2 size card, because that is my favorite style of card. Okay, then we've got a stitched rectangle here. We're gonna add this on using Stampin' Dimensionals, and I've got a brand new sheet of them here. So I'm just going to add a couple in the center because I don't like any saggy pieces or parts on my cards. And I always like to make sure that my cards stay together well. I talk about that often. I don't want my cards falling apart in the mail or when my person receives their card. Just going to remove these dimensionals, the backings. All right. Now we will add this to our card base, and I'm just going to center it up so it's nice and center on the card. And we'll set this aside because we're going to do all of our other fun stuff. We've got a piece of garden green cardstock here, and this piece is cut at 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. And I'm sure you can hear the tip-tap tapping of my puppy walking around my office right now. Sorry about that. She's actually laying down right underneath me as we speak. So we're going to take our garden green ink on our garden green cardstock, and we are going to ink blend all around the outer edge of this garden green cardstock. If I told you guys what was happening right now, well, I'm going to tell you. So as I'm doing this, my dog is getting up on the counter, putting her little paws right next to me and like pawing at my arm because she wants to be up here with me. Miss Trudy. She's so cute. All right. So we've got this about ink blended. And we've got this lighter center. I think this is just so beautiful and such a great way to really enhance solid cardstock. When I was originally designing this card, I just was going to use this solid cardstock without anything else on it. And I was like, you know what? I need to find a way to zhuzh this up a little bit. So we did, and it looks so much better. So this image is from the stamp set, the Greatest Journey stamp set. These are little stars, but this is, I really want to encourage you to try using your small stamps in different ways, because this obviously is not a Starry Night background, but these little stars work out great. You know what, while we have our ink out, let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. This tag is from the Tailored Tag Dies, and I have my sentiment here that says, I'm so inspired by your courage. And I think that's just a fantastic sentiment. It would be great for anybody who's going through something really, really difficult. And, you know, life is filled with difficult things, right? So this is just a great set to have on hand, too. And then I've got my little topper piece that cuts from these dies, and I cut it in garden green. So we're going to add this piece to our tag very carefully, and I'm going to let that set so it dries nice. And then we're going to move on to our coloring before we do our assembly, okay? So I've got an array of colors here. We're going to start with Granny Apple Green, and I don't have any idea what kind of flowers these are. To me, this one here in the middle kind of looks like a foxglove. If you're familiar with that flower, it's one of my favorite flowers, but it is highly poisonous to dogs, well, to animals. And I, as you know, have 1,400 dogs. So, you know, no, not really. I just have 4 dogs. But still, you get my point that probably not the best idea for me to grow foxglove in my yard, even though I think it is one of the most stunning flowers. I really do love it. And then I'm not sure what this one is here. It kind of reminds me of, there's this, my mother-in-law has this beautiful plant at her house, and I think it's called like a Chinese bellflower or something like that. I can't remember, but it's kind of like a fuchsia color, and it's a plant. It's really beautiful. So I don't know if that's what this is supposed to be. I don't think it is. It doesn't quite look like it, but it reminds me of it. So anyway, if you guys know what the names of these flowers are, I would love to know. You can share with me, because, you know, I do like the flowers. Didn't used to, which is super funny, but I like the flowers. So we're going to move on now to polished pink. And I'm going to use the dark polished pink at the base of the flower. And again, like I said, I don't know what kind of flowers these are. So I could be totally coloring these like a color that doesn't even exist. But it's a card, so I feel like it's okay. I can get away with it. You know, we don't have to be accurate with everything that we do on in our card making as far as what it is in real life. All right, and then we're going to move on to the middle flower. And I really just chose my colors based on a color scheme versus worrying about what the flowers were and if there was a legitimate flower this color. Does that make sense? So this color is, what is it? Starry Sky. The name of it was escaping me there for a minute. And I'm just going into these flowers, and anywhere that I think would be a little bit darker on the flower, I'm adding ink. And I'm not worrying too much about perfection. I will say that. Because overall, it's just about the card, you know, just kind of being beautiful and colored in, and we're just not going to worry and stress over making it perfect. So I did the darker areas, now I'm doing the lighter. And I will say on this Starry Sky ink, Stampin' Blends, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the dark and the light. So, you know, some pigment colors are just like that. Like, I've noticed that stuff with pinks and purple, or with purples and blues, they tend to not have as much differentiation in their color. And so I'm not sure why that is. I'm sure it has something to do with the formulas and trying to get it just right. But anyway, not a huge difference between the dark and the light in this particular Stampin' Blend. All right, and then we're going to use Soft Succulent to color the leaves, and what are these called? The thing that holds the flower. I cannot remember. It's escaping me. There's a name. There is a name for it. The little piece that holds on to the flower that the flower sits in. What is the name of that? Anyway, one of you is so smart and you're going to tell me what it is. And then I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I remember that. All right, so now we're going to use the Soft Succulent Light and go in and color any areas that are left white still. Now, Soft Succulent is one that when you see the dark and the light, you can really tell the difference. And they blend beautifully together, and they give a great shadow. It's one I really like. Okay, now we're gonna do something a little fun. We are going to use pumpkin pie, and I'm gonna start with the dark pumpkin pie, and I'm gonna start right at the base of this flower. Now, this flower I am certain has leaves, and they should probably be colored green. I'm not doing that because, again, this is my card, and I can just make up what, you know, it's kind of like thinking of it like you're in Whoville, you know? You can just do what you want to do. You don't have to follow any rules. All right, and then I'm gonna take Pumpkin Pie Light, and I'm gonna just go up a little further. Pumpkin Pie, Real Red, Cherry Cobbler, the yellows, So Saffron, Daffodil Delight, all those, they're my favorites to blend with because my brain understands how those colors blend, if that makes sense. I don't even know how to explain it to you other than that. So now we're going to take So Saffron, and we're going to go in and blend it out, and then look how cool it gets. It's just such a beautiful color after that point. Okay. I just love this blend. So try this if you haven't already. Pumpkin Pie Dark and Light, and then So Saffron Dark. And if you wanted to, if you had a big enough image, you could even use So Saffron Light, the light and the dark, and it would be a beautiful 4-color blend. Okay, now we're going to use these dies, and we are going to cut out our image very carefully. Since I'm making these swap cards, I mean, I always try to do my best work, but when it comes to swap cards, I really try to go above and beyond. Okay, let's pull this card together, friends. So we're going to use some Tombow glue here, multi-purpose glue. Oops. And I'm gonna go ahead and glue this piece down, and we're doing it at an angle. And then we're gonna use dimensionals on the back of this piece. Just removing these. You know what? I'm going to add one more right here. And I'm going to go up towards the top here just a little. Okay. And then we're going to add this piece. But before we do that, I want to show you a really fun trick. If you take your paper snips and you open them up flat, and this will only work with really sharp scissors, you can just run your snips along the edge of this paper, this designer paper, and it's going to give it a really roughed up edge. And then we're going to take one corner and kind of just pull on it and pull it over like so. And then we're going to flip it around and do exactly the same procedure here on the other side. And again, it's just roughing up that paper to kind of make it look a little bit worn and a little bit tattered. And then we're going to take this end and fold it up the same. Okay. And then we're going to add a little bit of adhesive here at the top, glue, and then at the bottom we're going to add dimensionals because I'm going to pop this up. I want it to be even with this. So the top needs to lay flat on it and the bottom needs to have dimensionals so that everything is even in the amount that it's coming off this page, off the card I should say. And then we're just gonna carefully make sure this goes across and not over the edges of the card. And then we're gonna take our little stamped image here, and we've got this beautiful garden green twine. This is from the suite. And I'm just gonna trim a piece like so. And we're gonna tie a bow and add it just like this. Okay, and then we'll trim the excess off. And I made it a nice big fluffy bow, okay? I don't want it to be a teeny tiny one. I want it to be nice and big. And then we'll add a little glue at the top. And we're gonna add some dimensionals at the bottom because we're doing exactly the same thing we just did with this other layer. We're gonna do this at a tilt and add it just like that. Now, we have one step left. We are going to use the pastel adhesive backed sequins. These are in the spring catalog, January through April, that's coming out. And we are going to add just these super cute sequins, just like that. And that is the finished card. Here's the first one I did. And I just love it. Isn't it gorgeous? I think it's so beautiful. It has a lot of little details to it that just make it unique and fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to pick up the Greatest Journey suite of products, it's going to be $80, and there's just one host code, and that'll get you the paper, the dies, the stamp set, the twine, and the embellishments. These are the embellishments that come, and there's 4 sheets of these, so there's a lot in there. And then there's 3 different twines, and it's really a fantastic suite of products. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.